Young people in China nowadays just don't want to get married or have kids. Why is that? In this video, a guy says,
Why should I get married? It'll just make me poor. Like most people born in the 90s, I don't want to get married, have kids, buy a house or a car. I just want to live a life free from all these burdens. You just asked me why I don't have a girlfriend, right? Why should I get married and have kids? It'll just leave me broke, won't it? Don't you know that many people born in the 90s are living without these four major burdens? No wife, no kids, no house, and no car. So why shouldn't I enjoy spending my savings slowly?
here in this video, a student is asked, do you have a girlfriend?
No,
Do you want one?
no,
Why not?
because it's a waste of time and energy.
But wouldn't it be nice to have a girlfriend to have fun with?
No, it wouldn't be. If I don't have kids, I don't have vulnerabilities, and my life will be at least 80 to 90% less.
So, to this generation, not having children makes your life 80 to 90% stress-free. And because everyone today wants to live stress-free, the Gen Zs opt not to have children. Maybe if you're not aware, today we want to talk about why the Gen Z, or why there's a demographic cohort between who were born between 1997 to 2002 are a bit skeptical of fear having children, are skeptical about parenting and commitments like marriage and something like that. So these are people, these guys are about right now, not about 22 to 28 years. But then, mostly, if you look at, let's say, the traditional society, let's talk of African societies. They really value having children and families. But then this generation is turning things upside down. Because we find that in our generation, the previous generation, a lady could hit like about 23, find them with even 2 children. Our lady hits 28, 3 children going upwards. But then nowadays, you find someone at around 28. Probably they're working, they're out of school, they're just having some decent jobs. But the fact is that they just don't want to get married. They don't have children. They just don't want to commit into this long-term relationship like marriage, where probably they have to be accountable, things like that. That's what they want to look at. Why is this generation, the Gen Zs, a bit skeptical when it comes to parenting, when it comes to marriage, when it comes to having children? That's why I want to know your opinion, my opinion, someone else's opinion, so at least we try to understand probably what can be done, or is it the best trend? Is it something brought by external factors like, let's say, the economic times we are living in, things are also going on anyway. But then, first things first, let us first take a listen to what one of the TikTokers had to say on having children in this generation and how the society views it. Take a listen.
What if I told you that the most unethical thing you could do is have children? Well, maybe not, but there is a philosophical justification for why our generation are increasingly choosing not to have kids. And the philosophical theory is called antinatalism, or the idea that it's inherently unethical to have kids. The reasoning behind this theory is pretty simple. When you're in the womb, you cannot consent to being born, and you cannot consent to being brought into a world, especially that is now facing, genocide, climate change, discrimination. You can't choose the family you're born into, you can't choose the body you're born into, you can't choose the socio and economic issues that you might face just through the family that you were born into and the place you were born into. You can't choose any of that. 99% of your struggles in your life are going to be determined by how and where and when you were born, and your parents decide all of that for you. Our generation are increasingly realizing that saying that you want to have kids, or you're ready for a family, or you want to have a big family, none of those are actually sufficient reasons for bringing another human being into this world. A human being that never had a say in whether or not they were brought here, and a human being that is not going to have a say about any of the issues they face as a result of being brought up by you and your family and wherever you live. So yeah, antinatalism is a very strict theory, and it argues that, no matter what you do to try to mitigate the effects and the consequences of bringing this child into the world in a non-consensual way, it's still inherently unethical to make that decision. What do you guys think?
I don't know whether to agree or not. Because unlike the previous generation, this generation are more educated. And they're kind of trying to analyze the kind of environment they want to bring their children into. Right now, whether you're in Asia, whether you're in Africa, whether you're in America, Europe, anywhere, it is true that things are getting tough, mostly economically. There are uncertainties at job places, business are crumbling, social cultures are being eroded, fights everywhere. Technically, it may not look at the best environment to bring up your child, but then which options again do you have? Is there any surety that in future things will be better? I don't think so. On the other hand, if you look at, there's some cultures which are really highly rooted into their traditional ways, and even if you are keen, our parents or our grandparents, they were not much keen into which kind of environment were they bringing their children into. I don't know if it's because by those days the economy was a bit stable and things were a bit stable. But then you also can't totally totally diss this generation. But then does it mean that now in future like globally the population will go on a slow down path? Why? Because if this generation are not giving birth, who will make up to the next generation? Or is it time that we kind of break this traditional cycles, where you just get married without thinking too much, just bear children, whichever the number, like that? Is it the time that we need to break these traditional cycles? Let us listen to one of the guys here. I don't know if you call him the wise man, one of the wise men, or what, on what he had to say about these cycles, and if this is the generation to break them. Take a listen.
Why are there so many cycle breakers in this generation? That's a great question, because I agree there are a lot of cycle breakers. What are cycle breakers? Basically, we're talking about intergenerational patterns that are being stopped. Negative patterns, where someone decides that whatever dysfunction I inherited, I'm not passing it on. It ends with me. And it's happening, it's a phenomenon in this generation on such a wide scale, and it's amazing. But why? Why is it happening all of a sudden? Why didn't it happen in our parents' generation or in our grandparents' generation? Why is it happening with us? And I'll tell you why. We are getting toward the culmination, the completion of history. I don't mean that in a scary way. I mean that in a beautiful way. That all the hard work that humanity has been engaged in for the millennia, we're getting close to the completion of the project. And the completion of the project is a perfect world. What the Hebrew prophets thousands of years ago foretold us would be an era of perfection here, a heaven on earth, which is called the Messianic era. And all of the prophets foretold this era. The last prophecy that we have from the last of the prophets is the prophet Malachi, or in English they say Malachi. And the last prophecy of the last prophet of the Hebrew prophets is that before the great and awesome day of the perfection of this world, Elijah the prophet will appear. Veheshiv leiv ovis al benehem, veleiv bonim al avoisam. He will return the hearts of the parents to the children and the hearts of the children to the parents. He will reconcile the ruptured relationships between the generations. But it's key to observe the order. He will return the hearts of the parents to the children, and then through that, the hearts of the children to the parents. In other words, who initiates? It's not that the children have to come to the parents and beg, please, mommy and daddy, I want to have a relationship with you. But first, the parents stand up and they make the brave decision to do what they need to do to make the children children feel loved and cared for, and then automatically the children gravitate back to the parents and the relationship is restored. So that's what's happening in this generation. Parents are standing up and saying, I am ready to make the first move. I'm ready to be the one to tell my child, I love you. I want to have a closer relationship with you. I'm asking nothing from you. I'm not here to get anything from you. I'm just here to be here for you in the most generous, loving, altruistic, selfless way, which is what God made a mother and a father to be like. That's what's happening. So many of us are standing up and we're heeding that call. And if you're a parent who's doing this, you are doing God's work. Don't stop. Don't be discouraged. Be brave. Reach out to your child with love, with tolerance, with acceptance, with compassion, and restore the broken rifts between the generations.
That one I totally agree with, 100%. 100%. I don't know about you, but it's true that we have to be brave. We have to do what our parents did. Just roll with it. You can't overthink your way through. That's a fact. You can't be sure of tomorrow. You can't be sure of the future. You can't just be sure of anything else. Maybe the best you can do is just to try to make the environment better for your children, which I think you can make through maybe just making the best of our abilities. But then, let us look at something. Is it true that there's some maturity gap between this generation? Because if you look at the previous generation, is it true that people used to mature earlier than the Gen Z? Because look at it this way. Right now in this Gen Z, puberty comes at slightly at younger age. These people start to explore more at relatively younger ages. That's a fact. But then if you look at their reasoning, how the level of maturity these people are having, how they handle issues at home, at workplaces, it's true. If you don't try to cut things, that the previous generation could handle things more mature than this generation. So I don't know if it is kind of maturity gap that probably people just have to, even this generation, calling themselves the Gen Z, they just have to come into terms with that time is not there. It's time that even for themselves, they just have to mature up and then just take this mantle and run with it. Just commit. That part of maturity, let us take a listen to what this man had to say about maturity and this generation parenting. Take a listen.
The idea of getting married young scares people because when you're young, you're immature. And for marriage, you need maturity. The question that needs to be asked is, why are we immature? Our grandparents, maybe our great-grandparents, married young. They were mature? Oh yeah, because life was much more serious back then. There was no time and there was no possibility of being frivolous and just having fun. So you grew up quickly and you matured quickly. So you got married younger. Actually, you mature when you need to mature. It's on a need basis. If I don't have to mature, then I won't. But if I have to mature, then I can mature at 14. It all depends on what is expected of me or what I expect of myself. If you know you're going to get married at 17, you become mature at 15. If you know you're not getting married till you're 32, then you wait till you're 34 to mature. And by then you're so stuck in your routines, marriage seems very intimidating. Letting another person into your routine and breaking your routine, invading your privacy, at 15 it's so much easier. So the argument that we're not mature enough at 15 to be married is actually the product or the result of not expecting to be married at 15. 15 is a bit young, but 18 would be nice. And if you know you're going to get married at 18, you mature at 16. So let's not blame it on immaturity. Let's figure out why we don't expect to be mature.
So even for me, I just think it's time that this generation will just mature up. We just decide that it's time to make things work. It's time to commit. It's time to have children. If you're in the right state of economic, in finances, as long as all the factors held constant, if you're in a position, please do. Let us put this generation further to have children. And let these things move. I don't know what you think on your end. What is making this generation what is making it hard for them to have children and to commit and to have stable relationship? Let me know your comments. Don't fail to subscribe, and next time.